Welcome to the chefsap demonstration. As valued members of Unity Purchasing Group, you'd be aware that you have exclusive access to the new the chefsap that we've been working on for the past 6 months or so. This video is just to give you a very quick intro on how to use chefsap to get you up and running. Hopefully within the next couple of months, Sangeeta will get round to everyone and make sure that you're getting the most out of chefsap. So the first thing that you need to know is how to get to chefsap. It's a browser-based application, so as long as you have internet access and a browser like Explorer or preferably Chrome, but if you don't have that, Mozilla and Safari will also work. You need to use this login URL up here. It's just chefsap.com.au. When you put that into your browser and click OK, you'll come to the login screen here. Now we've already set up for you all of your login and passwords, and Sangeeta will be giving them to all of you via a letter. So you have two options for logging in. One is via your Facebook account. If you've already got one of them set up, just means that you won't need to remember the password that you're given in future. For now, I've just got a quick one for the purpose of this demonstration. Okay, when you log in for the first time, or if for whatever reason you've deleted all of your menu out of chefsap, you'll get a prompt to enter a category. Now you can categorize your menus in any way that you so desire. We recommend starting with how you maybe how you split your own menu up, so that could be by entree, mains and desserts, or something along those lines. For the purpose of today's demo, I'm going to create a category called cakes and just pick any of these little icons. Okay, now that I've created that category, the first thing I need to do is add a recipe to it. So for today we're going to be putting in the recipe for an orange cake. Now I want to preface this by saying I'm not a chef, so I've got this recipe straight off the internet, and in terms of the costing for all of these ingredients, they come from the Woolworths website, so I know you'll be able to source them much cheaper than what I've been able to. Anyway, what we're going to do now is create a list of all of our ingredients that go into this cake. So the first thing is obviously oranges. Save that. And then just go down to here and progressively add all of your ingredients in. So free-range eggs. We're going to add some caster sugar, whichever way you like to spell it. That's how it's spelt on my recipe. Almond meal. And some gluten-free baking powder. Now, the easiest thing to do is obviously to have your recipes in front of you and also have already worked out how you buy the ingredients to make it easy from a data entry perspective. With the oranges, we're going to go for the Valencia oranges, and from my trusty website I know that they actually cost $1.66 per kilo. Now, we need to use, the recipe calls for 2 oranges. Now we need to know how many of those oranges we have in a kilo. So I guess the easiest thing in this case is to work out an average weight for each orange, and I'm guessing that that's probably around, let's say, 200 grams. Now this is a nifty little thing over here. Oops, I'll just get rid of that for a minute. In the case of oranges, you're obviously paying for the peel, which you may or may not use in this recipe. Let's say that you don't, and you estimate that, say, 10% of it or 15% of it is wastage. That percentage will get taken into account over here when the app works out the cost per ingredient for you. You can see in this case that the converter's already putting in 1 gram equals 0.001 kilograms, and that's how the cost is worked out. So we're just going to progressively go through each ingredient now. In the case of eggs, we're using 3 of them in this recipe. Now, we can do the egg calculation in a couple of ways. We know that we buy a dozen eggs. You might buy a box, but I'm buying a dozen of them. And my dozen eggs, good old Sunny Queen, are costing me $6.35. So we have the Sunny Queen eggs. This brand is optional, by the way. In the way that I've set it up here, where we're having 1 egg and we've put in that the unit price is per dozen or 12 eggs, the conversion is a simple 1:1. So 3 eggs is costing me $1.59. Now, just to show you that there's more than one way to skin a cat, I'll just add another line for free-range eggs. Okay, and we'll move that up. Oops, so we can compare. Just grab and drag and drop. There we go. Now, we're still using 3 eggs, but in this case, we're going to say that we buy them by the dozen. So a unit in this case is a dozen as opposed to 12 within the carton. Still cost me $6.35 for that dozen. What I now need to do is tell the system how to do that conversion. So obviously 1 egg is 1/12 of the pack size, or the dozen eggs. 1/12, if my maths is right, is about 0.83. And there we go, we come up with the same answer. So 2 ways to do it. Both ways are correct. It just depends on how you prefer to do your maths. Alright, caster sugar. Now we buy that in the CSR pack. It's a 500-gram pack, and it costs us $1.80, $1.82, something like that. Okay, now here's the tricky thing. The recipe tells me to use 1 cup of caster sugar. Now, me being a non-chef, I have no idea how much that weighs. So I can do it a couple of ways. Obviously, I can go and pour out a cup of caster sugar and weigh it up. That's one way of doing it. Or if you want a bit of help with this, we've got a nifty little link here. This just gives you a bit of an explanation on how to do a conversion. But this website here will actually help do it all for you. So all you need to do is stick in your ingredient, in this case caster sugar spelt the British way, and we're using 1 cup of it. So over here it tells me that 1 cup's equal to 191 grams. Okay, so just click anywhere to get rid of that. Now we can put in here, we can either put it 191 grams here, which gives us 70 cents, or we can use that as, leave that as 1 cup, and over here we can put the 191 grams. Gives us the same result again. Okay, same kind of thing with almond meal. We're using Sunbeam. We buy it by the kilo, and it costs us $4.29 per kilogram. And again, we use we use 3 cups, but I already know that 3 cups is equal to 300 grams of almond meal. There's our unit price, and same with our baking powder, which we buy the Mackenzie's brand, and we buy it by the 125 grams. That costs us $2.57. We use a teaspoon, and a teaspoon of it is 0.985 grams. Oops, what's going on here? Grams, there we go. 2 cents worth. So there we go, that's our completed list of ingredients for the orange cake. Now, that's all well and good. What we want to know now is what our margins are and how much we should sell it for. And just before we do that, I need to get rid of one of these because we've obviously doubled up. Just click on the little X here. Okay, and that will remove it. Now over here, as I said, is the cost per ingredient for the total cake recipe, and that's how much it costs us to make that cake. If we go over to this side, cost per batch, we see total cost is $5.56. Now these figures are all defaulted in initially based on the industry standard GP, which is 70%. You can change any of these figures so that you can play around with the pricing. It's probably better in the case of the cake to have a look over this size, because usually we would sell the cake by slice, not by the whole cake. So I'm going to say that this cake gives us 12 slices. Now as I put that in, you'll see all the costings change here. Again, it's still defaulting to our 70%. Now the good thing here is we're actually told that to get our 70% markup, we only need to sell a slice of cake for $1.54. And I know none of you are doing that. I know you're at least charging $5 for your gluten-free orange cake. So you're actually getting more like a 90% markup on that, which is probably not too bad when all things are told. That's pretty much it. You can play around with this now to your heart's content. You can create sub-menus, you can batch things together. I suggest you just have a bit of a play around with this and work out what's the best way for you to treat it and how to categorize your menu. You can print out down the bottom here the page itself if you want to keep them in a recipe book or somewhere else. You can get some help over here. If you click on this one, it's just got some little facts in, which we will increase as we go through and get questions from everyone. This is just taking me back to the main page again. What I'll do is just quickly log out of this and log into an account that has several recipes set up so you can see the difference, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, so you can see we've been playing around a little bit in here, but basically it gives you an idea once you start to create your menu. So we've got categorized by desserts and soups here, and then adding various recipes or items into each of your menus, you start to get an idea of what your total menu is worth to you on the front page. And that's pretty much all there is to chefsap, a neat little application to help you with costing your menus. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact the Unity Purchasing Office, and all your questions will be answered. Thanks very much for listening.
Cloud Solutions.